Please start.
Good morning, everybody. Sir, am I audible? Ritik sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I welcome Miss Yeshi Seli, Miss Sheetal Sharma, Dr. Jaya Srivastava to this session. I am grateful for all of you to spare us some time and be a part of this 10-day digital conference. We also have Dr. Ravi Saxena, Dean, DME Media School, and Dr. Susmita Bala, Head DME Media School with us. I would like to start off. Our media school is a part of Delhi Metropolitan Education, which is an A-grade educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University of New Delhi. DME is approved by Bar Council of India. The institute offers BBA, BA LLB, BBA LLB in addition to BA JMC. The institute is located in Sector 62, Noida. The students of DME are placed with highly reputed MNCs, media houses, agencies, and organizations. DME Media School is one of the top media schools in the country, focuses on the growth of the faculty and the students through academic and co-curricular activities. Activities include Media Fest Pritika, Film Festival City, monthly guest lecture series called BG Varghese series, and biannual FDPs and PFDPs. This is our third edition of ICAN, Issues of Community, Agenda and News. We at DME Media School believe in encouraging students to function independently, closely guiding them and preparing them for tomorrow. ICAN3 is a 10-day digital event consisting of 14 technical sessions, 3 master classes, 3 plenary sessions, and 3 panel discussions, and 2 special sessions. ICAN3 talks about community issues, their development, geopolitical issues, news, and the agenda setting. The objective of this academic deliberation is to study and analyze the pertinent issues and come out with scientific and rational findings. We are here to begin the session. I would like to request Dr. Susmita Bala to say a few words so that we start off with the session.
Obviously, this is a good morning, everybody. This is a session, Plenary session 3, digital media as alternative network. So we are welcome to all the guests and please carry on this session. I think it's a good session and informative to all of you. Yes, thank you.
So our topic for today, for this plenary session, is digital media as an alternative to conventional media. Both digital and traditional media play very prominent and important roles in today's media. However, their roles are quite different. Digital media is often hailed for its flexibility, immediacy, and ability to gather feedback, while traditional media, on the other hand, offers a higher chance of reaching a larger audience, especially as its content is disseminated widely via social channels. Unlike traditional media, digital media is not an ideal vessel for detailed or complex messages. It is also more unpredictable and prone to sparking controversies and PR crises. In addition, its interactive nature makes it more difficult for organizations to control their message and keep them from being misinterpreted or distorted. In this age, when everything is blogged, tweeted, and shared online, has traditional media become obsolete? Can't modern businesses forego traditional media altogether and start using digital media exclusively? We'll discuss on this and around this. I would like our anchor Shinjini to take over now.
Morning, everyone. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'm profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our experts for this session, Dr. Jaya Srivastava, Ms. Sheetal Sharma, and Ms. Yeshi Seli. Dr. Jaya Srivastava is the Joint Secretary, PRSI, Delhi Chapter, and Assistant Professor at APJ Institute of Mass Communication. She's an avid media observer, researcher, and educator, having earned a PhD in 2017 at a very early age in her career on the topic of framing rural India in mainstream Indian press. Prior to commencing her career in media education, she had worked in various media verticals, including public relations, journalism, and content. She has strategized and worked for clients across celebrity, hospitality, and education sectors. She specializes in PR, corporate communication, and marketing and media research. She's regularly associated as a reviewer with international and national journals, along with having published research papers in journals of global repute. Moving on to our next expert, Ms. Sheetal Sharma is a communication professional with over 10 years' experience who has helped both Indian and multinational companies and brands to break down communication barriers to sustain competitive advantage and enhance reputation. She has been managing the external communication, press and corporate affairs for organizations operating in lifestyle and consumer brand space across various industry sectors like technology, media and entertainment, FMCG and publishing, establishing media relations across India to ensure reputation management and image building. Her skill set includes corporate communication, media relations, marketing communication, branding strategy communications, crisis communications, communications planning, and event management. After having worked in the field of journalism, she is now a guest lecturer at Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. Along with this, she handles media and PR for IIMC New Delhi. Our third expert for this session, Ms. Yeshi Seli, is a journalist for 2 decades and has worked with 5 leading publishing houses: The Observer of Business and Politics, The Indian Express, The Pioneer, The Financial Express, and Business India, where she's currently working as an assistant editor. The subject that she has written on range from civil aviation and petroleum sector to CSR, corporate reports, and even social issues, crime, and lower courts. She has done many stories on companies like UTC, ONGC, Air India, to name a few. She has been a Press Information Bureau accredited journalist for over 10 years and has also won an award for outstanding contribution to journalism by PRSI. She has traveled widely within India and overseas on work, attending global conferences and forums. She holds an MPhil degree in history from Delhi University. Lastly, a little about our moderator, Ms. Deepika Dhawan. Ms. Deepika Dhawan is assistant professor in DME Media School. She's a university topper in master's degree from APJ Satya University in 2019. She holds a PGCP in market research and data analytics from MICA. She's presented papers at international conferences. Prior to this, she handled automobile brands in the advertising industry. Such dynamic personalities coming together for this session is so majestic on its own. Welcome, everyone. I now request Ms. Dhawan to take over from here.
Jaya ma'am, shall we start?
Most definitely.
Do you want me to share the presentation?
I think the first speaker is Yeshi ma'am. So I would like to request Yeshi ma'am to kindly begin her talk. And before that, I would like to thank Delhi Metropolitan Education for hosting this 10-day virtual international conference. I think it is a great initiative by Professor Amrish Saxena and Sushmita Bala ma'am, under whose leadership this international conference is being organized. And I think it has provided platforms to media educators and students, not only in India but abroad, to contemplate on contemporary issues that are affecting all of us today in the communications industry and the world over. So please, Professor Amrit Saxena and Professor Sushmita Bala, kindly accept my congratulations for hosting this wonderful event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeshi ma'am, I request you to kindly begin your talk.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. The topic is interesting because it is something that most journalists are going through. I've primarily been a print journalist in all my years of experience as a journalist, and the magazine that I'm currently writing for also has gone digital. After it's the oldest business magazine in India. It started way back in 1977. and now we've gone digital because we are Bombay based, and because of the COVID crisis there, we had no choice but to stop our print production and go online. Now, having said that, I would like to say that about anywhere between 4,000 to 4,500 crores is the losses that the print medium has incurred from March to April, and because of which there have been job losses, there have been salary cuts, pages have been reduced, sections have been done away with. So whether and a year back, the situation was very robust in India because it was said that amongst most leading countries in the world, print was diminishing and digital had taken over. But India was one country where where print was on an upswing. But the corona crisis has changed that completely, and everybody is going digital. Unfortunately, big leading papers have folded their editions in major cities. Journalists are absolutely without jobs, and digital is here to stay for some time. I mean, I'll talk about the pros and cons, but to begin with, because it's a question of survival and sustainability, so a lot of media houses have gone digital. And in this, I would also like to say that some media houses were challenged with their funds, the money is coming in and all. But the established ones, their laying off people has come as a surprise to many, because they have enough funds in their kitty to keep things going. But I guess sometimes people do get ruthless. Having said that, I think what happens in print is that news is instantaneous, but it's not expandable, and you can only read that much. Whereas in a newspaper, which is a tangible medium, you like to hold it and you like to fold it and read it over and over again. You can carry it off, and the detailing is much more than it is in a digital platform. Recently, I read a news about a Bombay builder. I mean, it's who had where they said that he had donated a 109-story building to turn into a COVID hospital in Malad. Everybody lapped it up and they wrote about it. The fact was that he'd actually loaned it only for 1 month. So, when you send a small teaser on a digital platform, people think that he's been really magnanimous. But only when you personally interview the person, you get to know that it's, not for the time period that one would imagine, because he was made out to be like God, where he said that, he's going to take care of, the rentals of all the people who were to occupy those houses. So we have this little risk, we run this little risk of not being very precise when it comes to digital, because you're, running against time, and you're also at this present day and time, you're not meeting people physically. It's a virtual world. So you are fed information, and I think sometimes qualities are also compromised. We're living in an environment where fake news takes precedence over real news, and a lot of time, a lot of energy is wasted on decoding the fake news. For people who've been around, we'll always do a fact check before we post something or share something on social media, but that doesn't happen in a digital platform. And there are digital cells which have mushroomed almost everywhere. Everybody thinks he or she is ready to perform and ready to share information now. That is a risk. But having said that, in the present circumstance, we don't have a choice but to continue to encourage and go in for digital. All of us would have noticed that once Corona happened, a lot of people stopped subscribing to newspapers. So an industry which was already hard hit got a lethal blow with this. I have, of course, never stopped taking my newspaper, except for the 10-15 days where the newspaper guy wasn't coming and delivering. I've continuously been reading because I'm used to the tangible medium. Of course, we wash our hands before and after. But I know of people who get their newspapers and who let them dry in the sun for 2 days and then read it after 2 days. Now, this is insane, to say the least. But the fear psychosis has played havoc. I've also heard of some people ironing newspapers. So what happens is, when you see the elders in the house being so paranoid and being so struck by what has happened, the youth were already glued to their, the whole world is in their hand, because they're only looking at what they see on the phone. And so it becomes more discouraging rather than encouraging. I remember when I became a journalist, I was still doing my MPhil. So, during my coursework, I had enough time to take up a full-time job. And every time I had to do a story, we would go to the library, look at the newspaper clippings, and, ensure what we were going to ask, the person we were to interview. That doesn't happen anymore. People just have a cursory look into what they understand from the designation, and they go ahead and asking. I also recollect that when the television boom happened, the debate that we're having now from print to digital was from print to electronic. The quality really suffered, because what happened is that the newbies were encouraged to come, because companies had to pay them little, and they were asked to work for excess hours, and they wouldn't question young students out of college. But sometimes I remember attending conferences where these young people would come and ask ministers what their name was after they got their bite. They were so ill informed. Now that has been taken care of. Now television, it is a different ball game altogether, where I think a lot of news is generated only to sensationalize and get their TRPs. It's becoming like a soap opera. But the seriousness of the print, should be maintained in some digital platforms, so that people believe what they read. There shouldn't be a time where you're only reading stuff which used to be carried on in tabloids. You also need to know, if you're a business journalist, on how the stocks are doing, how the industry is doing. 18 times the price of diesel and petrol have been raised in the last 20 days. How many people know that? I mean, they may be aware, but not as aware as probably a newspaper journalist would be, because you would go back into details. So, I think for this mindset to change, we also need to educate the youth. And for an institute like DME, where they have these youngsters coming, I always say that for various platforms that I've gone, that you must have the habit of reading. Just to be clever by half doesn't help, because you end up just taking what it gets. You're not objective, you're subjective. So objectivity needs to be retained. Of course, there's been a sea change. If you look at, how things were when we were growing up, we used to go and get photographs and get physical prints. Now all that has gone digital. So the whole world has gone digital in many ways. In the West, many years back, they had decided to go digital, because newspapers in America like New York Times, Washington Post weren't doing really well. So they went and they decided to have two teams, one for the digital and one for the physical newspaper. It didn't work. There was a clash, and now they've mostly gone into the subscription module. The subscription module actually gives a level playing field to everybody, because depending on the content, people can opt for what they want to read, what they want to accept, and what they want to flush out. So these are strange but challenging times. Unfortunately, when I remember when I became a journalist, the most abhorred journalists were those who were called armchair journalists, who wouldn't move, would just pick up the phone and speak to somebody and write a story, because we were meant to go and physically meet people and come back and write it. Now this whole scenario has changed. Your stories are based on the releases you see, on the emails that you get. I till now have never done a story based on an email interaction that somebody has recommended. And in Business India, it's mandatory, for all the corporate reports that I've done for many corporates, to physically go and visit the facility to see what is happening. I fear that with this boom in, the digital space, journalists will not be allowed to travel as often as we did. I have been to, the nook and corners of India, from remote tribal villages in India to fancy establishments in the West, and that was because I was associated with the print, and the credibility of what appears in print is always much higher than what appears in an advertisement or whatever. Now there is a blur now, because the content is advertorial driven. So when content is editorial driven, you're no longer objective, and when objectivity suffers, news suffers. So these are this is primarily what I feel. But the bigger challenge here is that it is the younger generation which needs to get which needs to cling on to reading. Unless they do that, irrespective of how effective newspaper is as a medium, and where even post Corona, if it comes back, it will not be able to survive. Because I've seen mostly elders in the houses sitting and reading newspapers, or I remember aspiring MBA students and all reading heavy duty magazines when they were young, maybe around my age. But that doesn't happen anymore. Everything is available online, and fact checking is something that the youngsters don't really attempt to, which is very, very important. So as of now, everything is confined to the four walls of our house, and rightly so, because this is the only place which looks normal. We're scared to go out. We don't know what we'll contract. whether it'll be Corona or whether it'll be, we'll be mugged by a wayward robber who'll, take away our mobiles or whatever. So there is lots to fear right now. But having said that, I am optimistic that, this will only be transitory, and once things settle and more ways are established to revive print from what it is now to what it can be, maybe people go back to taking to print. In fact, all of you must have read that, yesterday we all read the story about Baba Ramdev coming out with this drug, and everybody lapped it up. And only later in the day was he pulled up by the authorities to say, please don't say this till and advertise it till, you. So this is the biggest fear of digital medium, that you put a story for millions to see without confirming the facts. If things were that easy, we wouldn't have to invest at all in a vaccine or anything. We would just go and sow something from a Patanjali outlet. So and this is how it happens at all verticals. I've seen people just using 3 or 4 lines, and that's news for them. So that needs to change, but for that our youth also needs to change. They have to be encouraged to read, and unless they read a tangible medium, which is a newspaper, it will be very difficult for things to survive. I mean, Business India, we've gone online, we are available on a digital platform, but the magazine is same. We haven't really changed the format. So, a reader who was used to reading Business India in the past would still pick it up and read it. And I've also seen leading newspapers, having 2 sets of, in the past before COVID happened, 2 sets of reporters, one for online and one for print. So they knew the audience was different. And when the audience is different, then the news is compromised. If you don't compromise the news and go digital, like a lot of established papers in the West, then it would be fine. But I would hope against hope and wish that print continues to stay, because it is a tangible medium. It's also a healthier medium. It's much better for our eyes, than for our children's eyes, for everybody to read through a paper and to sniff it and to feel it, and then wait for the paper to come again the next day. So maybe I'm conventional and old school, but I still do wish that print comes back once this crisis is over. And also people need to get out of this fear psychosis of being inflicted by corona if they touch a newspaper. I don't think it happens. I've been reading it for 3 months, and of course I take all precautions. I don't get adventurous, like to not clean my hands. That's pretty much it. I would wish that people read more. And
Thank you, Yeshi ma'am, for sharing your experience, and for sharing real insights into how print is suffering in this pandemic. You're right, because print was exceptionally doing well in India, but it suffered a lot. Jaya ma'am, would you like to take over, or would
Yes.
Sheetal ma'am? Okay.
Take over. So, Deepika, I would request you to please start sharing the screen of my presentation.
Ritvik sir, please give me access to screen sharing. Thank you. Yeah.
You can
Yes,
come
ma'am.
back to the first slide, Deepika.
Sure.
So, a very good morning again to everybody. I am Dr. Jaya Srivastava, and we are really on behalf of all the panelists. I would like to say that Public Relations Society of India Delhi chapter is really excited and happy to partner with ICAN. And the topic that we had chosen was before coronavirus came into the picture. So it was somewhere around in the month of February that we chose this topic: digital media as an alternative to traditional media. Now, as India grapples with a new way of life, it is impossible to not see the impact on digital media consumption. The public has had to change their lifestyles significantly as social distancing, work work from home, close schools and universities, and cancel travel and events, disrupt daily routines. Coronavirus has changed and impacted almost all the industries and almost everyone around the world. So today, the question is that is digital media really an alternative to traditional media? And throughout this session, I would like to come back to this question over and over again. I would want the audiences for themselves to decide that in today's day and age, where digital media has almost taken over all forms of communication, is digital media really just an alternative? Next slide, please, Deepika. So, I wanted to start off my session with the recent crisis that happened regarding and a very dismal news regarding Sushant Singh Rajput's demise. Now the entire event, right from his him taking his life to people coming out in support of newcomers, people who are new to the Bollywood industry, who do not have a solid background of a filmy family, played out on social media. Deepika, please, the next slide. Karan Johar post the demise of Sushant Singh Rajput. He posted, a message on Instagram and Twitter saying that he blames himself for not being in touch with Sushant Singh Rajput. And almost immediately, we saw a barrage of comments from people, from the public regarding how, this is not true. And how, in fact, Karan Johar represents the Bollywood mafia as something, Kangana Ranaut said. So today, when we talk about incidents like these, we can see the power, the democratic power of social media, of digital media, wherein somewhere 10 years back, the public did not have the option to, voice out their sentiments. Earlier, people like Kangana Ranaut, who had a different opinion from how the traditional or the mainstream media outlets, what their opinion was, they were not given options to speak up. But today, अगर हम कंगना रनौत के इंस्टाग्राम वीडियो की बात करें जहां पर उन्होंने बॉलीवुड माफिया के बारे में बोला है, उसको 19 मिलियन व्यूज मिले हैं. During this entire episode, we saw the power of people come alive. We saw how people like Kangana Ranaut, how people like Karan Johar lost so many followers. I mean, followers in the tune to lakhs. And whereas at the same time, Kangana Ranaut gained a lot of followers. Now, this is what I say truly represents the power of the people. This is what digital media represents. I think there can be no better example. In the recent statements made by Kangana Ranaut, she said how Vogue had actually banned her just because she wanted certain stylists to style her. How certain, traditional conventional media platforms, mainstream media platforms had absolutely banned her. She was not given an option to voice. She was not given a platform to voice out her opinion. Today, that is not the case because we can see people like Kangana Ranaut, people like you and me, about issues that we care about. Voice our opinion on these matters. Next slide, please. So again, the real question today is not that digital media is an alternative to traditional media anymore. Digital media, in fact, in the times of coronavirus, I agree that these are unprecedented times. This is a time of a crisis, and that's why digital media has a greater role to play. But throughout my presentation, I am going to come back to the issue that how, because coronavirus is going very long period of time, and we don't know till when. So this period is going to be a habit forming period. We'll see that generations, that were usually that, leaned on to traditional media like television and newspapers. Today, they are, happily coming to digital media because there is fresh content. The content and traditional media does not have that option anymore today. Traditional media, because the production facilities have shut, so many movies are not getting released because obviously there is no production that is going on. Whereas on social media there are influencers who can come out with creative and new content. If news has to break out, it breaks out on social media. Obviously, if a crisis has to break out, that also breaks out on social media. But anything new comes out on digital media. Next slide, please, Deepika. So when we talk about communication, the communication landscape is primarily dictated by two major factors. The first is the content. आपकी target audience जो है, चाहे आप journalism में हो, चाहे आप public relations में हो, या फिर आप brands का PR कर रहे हैं, या advertising कर रहे हैं, या events कर रहे हैं, it depends the kind of content that your audience wants. So today, if we look at कि preferences क्या है content में, people are gravitated more towards visual content. They like more interactive content. They want to be immersed in the content that they are viewing. So that is something that the digital media very nicely provides. And the second is the preferred medium of content consumption. चाहे PR हो, advertising हो, journalism हो, अगर आज हम देखेंगे तो जो हमारी target audiences है, उनका preferred mode of communication is digital media because it is easily accessible. We can anytime switch on our mobile phones and tune into any streaming platform, any news website or apps. So it's very easy for people to consume content, the kind of content that they want at any time on this particular medium. Next slide, please. Right. So if we talk about the media consumption patterns, it's interesting that while there was, and this is during coronavirus time span, there was a 43% increase in content consumption and engagement on television and 23% increase in the radio platform. But अगर हम compare करें to what is the time spent on smartphones and the engagement level, smartphones per engagement level is increased by 177%. So there is no doubt that the preferred medium of content consumption is the digital medium. Next slide, please. If we look at social media consumption, so Twitter में जो daily active users हैं, that is daily active users is a term that is used for the total number of people who open and engage with a mobile app or a web product in one particular day. So Twitter पर during coronavirus there was a 30% increase in daily active users. Now Twitter's spike in usage is interesting since many people use it as a central source of news, possibly due to the lack of availability and thinning nature of newspapers. People are increasingly looking online to get the latest updates. Similarly, Facebook made there was 10% increase in daily active users, Instagram made 20%, and on TikTok there was an 11% increase in daily active users. Next slide, please. अगर हम मीडिया कंजम्पशन की बात करें तो the generation that we refer to as the Gen Z, that is anybody who falls into the range of 8 to 23 years of age span, उनका the most preferred medium of content consumption is online videos. medium of content consumption is online TV or streaming. The third most preferred, consumption medium is music streaming, right? And then comes your video games, followed by broadcast TV, followed by online press. And physical press is very little preferred by the Generation Z. Moving on to the next generation, that is the millennials. Next slide, please. If you look at them, the pattern is not very different. Millennials also prefer consuming online videos the most, followed by online TV streaming. Now, millennials is anybody who falls into the age category of 35 to 39 years. Followed by you can say online press, and अगर आप physical press देखें तो उसमें it is just 19%. Broadcast television is 35%. So you can see the gradual shift in all the generations that is coming towards digital, online. That is in vogue. If we come to the next slide, that is the Gen X, you would call somewhere between mid-age to who are now gradually growing old. That is anybody who falls into the category of 40 to 54 years of age. उनका जो most preferred medium है broadcast television है, followed by your online videos and online TV streaming. So starting from the younger generations to the older generations, we can see a shift. कि पहले जहाँ पर broadcast television or the physical press or the radio were the most preferred platforms, today that is not the case. We can see a huge shift towards the digital platforms, and that is very evident. Brands, communication platforms have started feeling this shift, and now there is no option for them but to adapt to this changing scenario of media consumption and media preference by generations all across. Coming to the next slide, the most important thing during the coronavirus crisis was that people wanted to search for information regarding coronavirus. And let's look at the platforms that they considered were the most trustworthy. Now, on an average, between Generation Z, the millennials, the Gen X, and the boomers, the most preferred World Health Organization website to get any information regarding coronavirus, followed by government website, followed by government emails and newsletters. And only at the fourth place comes news channels, which is again followed by health authority emails and newsletters and news websites. तो अगर यहाँ पर भी हम देखें कि भाई trustworthy sources कौन से हैं जहाँ से लोगों को information चाहिए. So first of all, they understand the difference between sources that are actually trustworthy and that are not very trustworthy, and they go to those sources to seek information. The first three जो हमने options देखे हैं, these are all on digital platforms. It's only at the fourth level or at the fourth point that news channels come in, and news and magazines and newspapers come somewhere at the 12th point. So if we look at this entire scenario, there is a very obvious, very tangible shift in the media consumption patterns of Generation Z, millennials, Gen X, and the boomers. Next slide, please. Now, if we talk about news, there has been an evident growth in digital news sharing and subscription revenues of print media's, digital media platforms. So, if we talk about trends during COVID-19, हमारे पास न्यूज़पेपर्स फिजिकली नहीं आ रहे थे, बट व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में we were getting e-papers daily without fail. So while we were not able to read newspapers because of whatever problems, I think Yeshi ji also talked about कि there was this huge scare in the minds of the people कि अगर हम physical newspapers पढ़ेंगे, so we may contract some issue, or we may contract the virus. WHO ran a whole campaign to bust this myth. But at that particular point in time, e-papers, which were readily being provided by various media establishments, were freely available to us. Similarly, there was a trend of an increase in paywalls. Paywalls होती है कि जब हम एक टॉपिक पर जब हम गूगल सर्च करते हैं, we find we want to see an article, we can only see first or the second paragraph. उसके बाद हमें पे करना होता है in order to read the entire this thing article. So Dinamani ने, Indian Express ने, in fact Campaign India, which is a marketing related website, right, जहाँ पर हम advertising, PR, event campaigns के बारे में क्या चल रहा है इंडस्ट्री में, हम अगर वहाँ पर जाएं तो all of these platforms need some level of paywalls they have introduced. So generally जो अगर हम pre COVID-19 era की बात करें, at that point in time, while paywalls were there, and a lot of foreign newspapers had used paywalls as a platform for increasing their subscriptions, India mein it was not that prevalent. Today that is not the case. Today people see that because there is a huge surge on the websites of various news platforms, this is a model that is going to bring in subscription. Similarly, अगर हम Outlook business की बात करें तो पहले वो unpaid था. Today Outlook business का जो online edition है, it is now paid. Many magazines have adapted to the e-format and are strengthening their websites and social media platforms. And I'm talking about A-list magazines like Cosmopolitan, Harper's Bazaar, Hello India, and many other magazines. जिनका print edition is now on hold till further notice, and they are now only coming out with digital or online versions. Similarly, the New York Times, generally the middle-aged people would subscribe to the New York Times. अगर हम उसके digital subscription rates की बात करें, so that has seen a huge increase, and that too among teens, which was unheard of. Traffic to digital news websites has increased by 58% during this pandemic. I mean, this is something that we did not hear about up till now. Next slide, please. Now, coming to the marketing communication aspect, obviously, events industry, क्योंकि events are obviously physically conducted. Events went bust for a long period of time. But today, if you look at it, virtual events are a big thing now. अगर हम बात करें Zomaland की, which was physically conducted, today it is back with the bang by collaborating, with Singapore Tourism Board and obviously Paytm, and is hosting, food event Zomaland digitally this time because of the pandemic. इसके अंदर they had put together an elaborate digital experience by bringing the best of food and entertainment, so that Zomaland visitors could kind of experience the same energy and spirit sitting at home. And there were collaborations with top level entertainers, be it Pooja Dhingra, Kusha Kapila, Dolly Singh, or the Gully Boy famed hip hop singer Naisi. All of them were there on one platform to celebrate Zomaland. Similarly, as India continued to tread the COVID-19 pandemic and its enormous impact on the business and economy, ET Now Leaders of Tomorrow Season 8 was launched via a special webinar series, eForum, to accelerate SMEs, MSMEs and startups to tide through these unprecedented times. Now, अगर हम education sector में ही देख लें, so webinars is the preferred mode of content sharing and education sharing. Similarly, virtual party to engage with its consumers. Mint has started virtual events, Mint India to Global Deep Tech Innovation Conclave. So, while we thought that the event industry is, we did not really actually have an answer to what would be the future of the event industry, and especially during this pandemic, the technology has actually enabled us to host virtual events. And virtual platforms are now coming up. Abhi recently a news thing that there is a special design studio for hosting live webinars. Now that's something that was unheard of, but technology is giving us these platforms to move to digital innovation so that we can connect with our consumers. Next slide, please. अगर हम since the lockdown came into effect, streaming platforms, OTT platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and Z5 have been entertaining the audience with their original content, and not just web series. These platforms have also provided us with a few movies that have released exclusively on digital platforms. Since theaters being shut since mid-March, there are a lot of movies that were only released on OTT platforms. So उसका सबसे बड़ा एग्जाम्पल है फिल्ममेकर शुभजीत सरकार की गुलाबो सिताबो. Now, that was released on Amazon Prime Video. Similarly, Chot, जो अनुराग कश्यप की फिल्म है, and which stars Siami Khe, Roshan Matthew, and Amrita Subhash among others, is today streaming on Netflix. Similarly, Nawazuddin Siddiqui's Bhoonke, Jacqueline Fernandez's Serial Killer, directed by Sirish Kundar, Abhay Deol's What's the Odds, etc., are all releasing on digital platforms. Next slide, please. Coming to the question of marketing communication, well, we have obviously seen a shift in the consumer behavior. Boston Consulting Group, in association with Facebook, has come out with a report that is labeled as Turn the Tide, and it has identified 11 trends of consumer behavior that are emerging during COVID-19. Now, these trends will invariably deeply impact the purchase pathways in the new normal. And one interesting thing that has come out in this report is that there has been an acceleration of trends. That is, जो हम trends COVID-19 के पहले देख रहे थे, which we were going to slowly adapt to, we have seen a rapid acceleration in adoption of those trends. And those trends are embracing digital services and experience. For example, digital events, concerts, etc. Accelerated adoption of e-commerce. So e-commerce, we have seen almost twice the engagement. People are devoting a lot more time to e-commerce, buying products online, looking at them online, doing their researches online. There has been a huge increase in that kind of consumer behavior, and the rise of the smart shopper who does not believe what the brand says, but puts in a lot of effort in background research in what the people are saying online research before confirming a purchase. Right. Next slide, please. Now, what have been the changes in marketing communication? Right. Changes. Let's look at a couple of examples of these changes in marketing communication. अगर हम stay home या घर पे रहो की स्टिकर की बात करें, that was very visible on Instagram. That has been used over 6 million times just in India. Brands today are adapting messaging around stay at home. Telecom players like Airtel, Jio had exactly the same messaging, that is stay home transactions for recharge. Similarly, next slide please. अगर हम Vodafone का ये ad, we saw comeback of Zuzus and the pub. And can we see this video, Deepika?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's not visible right now, right?
I can't see the video as of now.
Hold on. Share again.
So you see, Vodafone made a comeback with Zuzus, and it was a wonderful again. The messaging was all around, staying home, staying safe, washing hands, doing what is sanitary, and ensuring that your health is safeguarded at all times.
Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
All right. The second trend in marketing communication has been that brands are offering interesting things to do while staying at home. Z5 Global launched the Stay Home, Stay Entertained campaign and leveraged Facebook to scale their subscription program catering to entertainment seeking consumers in the lockdown. Similarly, brands are also delivering outdoor services inside your home. एक एग्जाम्पल है SBI का. SBI launched घर से बैंकिंग. It was a digital campaign. #घर से banking campaign on Facebook to maximize the adoption of digital banking products in the wake of the countrywide lockdown. Next slide please. In fact, हमने देखा कि लॉकडाउन के पीरियड में there were brands that were not that active and or they were not visible on digital platforms, but today they are. Right? For example, India Post Payment Bank के एक member जो PR करते हैं, he's a part of Public Relations Society of India and Delhi chapter, and we were having this conversation, and he told me that before lockdown, we really never paid any attention to the digital medium, but today after the lockdown, that is the only method to reach our audiences. How else are we going to reach them? So there has been a concerted efforts by brands to be visible on the digital media. Next slide, please. Facebook का I for India concert, so something that is entertainment, domains like IP events, या फिर concerts, they are also happening on digital platforms. And the objective of Facebook's I for India concert was to raise funds for Give India COVID-19 relief. इसमें more than 85 top Indian and global stars participated, and over 60 crores were raised for COVID-19 relief. I mean, that's almost unheard of. A couple of other changes in marketing communication were that, we have also seen that there has been a rapid acceleration in digital medium of communication, less social media, more consumption across news, games and entertainment sector. अगर हम Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp और Messenger के monthly active users की बात करें, so they are close to 3 billion today. That's almost half the world's population. There has been an increased preference for virtual connects, voice and video calling, more than double, across Messenger and WhatsApp in the areas that are hardest hit by COVID. But the most interesting thing in this report is that almost 63% of the consumers are planning to continue this behavior in future. So, COVID-19 or not, this is a habit forming period, and these habits that we are seeing people engaging in today on digital media platforms, these are going to stay. Thank you. So this was the crux of my presentation. And we have seen also, if we talk about public relations, because I come from PR, so जो हमने during COVID-19, in fact pre-COVID-19 also, influencer marketing was on rise. Topical content for engagement was on rise, and influencer marketing through social media platforms. So, people like Pooja Dhingra, people like, I think Kushaka Pilla, Ranveer Alabadi. These are the people that the general public is looking up. Only people who can actually create interesting content on the digital and fresh content on the digital platforms. Production houses have been so the only way of getting to new content, fresh content, creative content, interesting content is and like presentation. I hope I have clarity on why digital media is so important in today's and why a possible expansion of this trend. And I request and begin her talk.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
So, hi everyone. This is Sheetal here. I am a communication expert. First of all, I would like to thank. Of course, it's possible because of new media only. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible that we are organizing a 10-day long webinar, and so many people, we all of us are connected just because of this. So, of course, it is possible because of new media. But then at the same time, we cannot forget the kind of contribution we've got from traditional media that is equally important. We cannot neglect it at all. So today I would like to talk about how new media is important, but traditional media is equally important. Both of them, they go hand in hand. Then only we can make a perfect PR plan or a communication plan. So I would be focusing more on a communication plan. If you are if you're starting if you want to create a plan for a brand, how should you begin? So of course, let's discuss some points like why you should concentrate on new media in your PR plan. So new media is far less expensive than traditional media. Traditional media options are really expensive. If you talk about TV channel commercials, they are way out of your budget. So there are small brands who are coming up and they don't have those kind of budgets for putting in advertisements and all. So of course you should go for new media options. This is a good option. New media tends to be much more interactive than traditional media. New media forms media. Our social media allows for direct communication, interaction between business and consumers, which is always good. If you're facing any kind of problems with a certain brand, you can go and show your concerns on the concerned web page. They will surely solve your problem out. New media is also highly data driven. You can access to exactly how many eyeballs see your banner, how many people have visited your web page. That is called pay per click. So if you have posted an advertisement, if you will get to know how many people have clicked on your ad, and you have to pay according to the number of people who have seen your advertisement. So this is also makes it very, very affordable for people who do not have those kind of heavy budgets to spend on advertisement. Cost effective. New media is also very cost efficient. Spending money on new media is likely to yield better results by spending the same amount of money on traditional media. Real-time results. Unlike traditional media, the results you receive from new media are real-time. That allows you to make instant changes to your creative in order to achieve maximum effectiveness. It also gives you a leg over traditional, where it takes a lot of time to see the result of your campaign. So usually it takes a lot of time if you're giving if you have started your campaign on a traditional media, it usually takes some time to see the results. But on new media, on social media, you see it instantly. Global reach. New media has a global reach, whereas traditional media tends to be highly regional. With new media, you're able to reach the entire globe for a fraction of cost. New media is highly targeted. You can just about everyone uses it. So that means you can have your choice of audience. Like Facebook, if you talk about Facebook, Facebook also does behavior study. Uh, they know, suppose if you're watching more of videos of technology based videos, so they'll flood you with those technology videos only. If you're watching more of motherly stuff, like kids videos and all, then you'll get to see more on your timeline. So Facebook knows your behavior, so you have a lot of audience and you can tap them. So this is the best way you can tap the exact audience, so it's easier. Virality. Truly effective, new media has potential to go viral. Your content could be shared with millions of people, which can boost your credibility and your image. But of course, as Jaya mentioned, the content has to be really good for that. Without that, of course, if that lacks, that won't work out. New media makes consumers feel as if business and brands are accessible, almost like their friends. Traditional media promotes more separation between consumers and businesses. Like, if there are any kind of problems, we can just go, like, just recently one of my friends faced some problems with SpiceJet, so she just raised her concern on the web pages, Twitter and all. So they got a response. So because of course they have millions of followers there, and they don't want their reputation to go waste, so they will also respond. In today's world, consumers simply interact more on new media and than traditional media. They, as we all know, that we spend hours and hours on mobile phones, than less time in watching TV and listen to the radio. So of course that's the go-to. When it comes to new media, the results are highly trackable. You know exactly in which area you are doing well, in which area you are missing out. So you can of course change your creatives accordingly and get going. New media is adaptable. You can easily switch content and creative for your ad and new sponsors media post. New media allows you to run campaigns and multiple different creatives at the same time. So suppose you want to have a life insurance company can create a different kind of campaign for young generation and a different kind of campaign for a older generation, and you can run both of them at the same time. So you can create same campaigns at the same time. Although new media can be pretty daunting at once, but once you know it, you know how to use it, and sites are easy to navigate. You can easily handle it. Although new media is excellent if you're targeting specific individuals and demographics. New media is customized to meet your business needs. Of course, you can change it according to your need and uh, you can just try and see. There is no perfect formula that this will work for you, this will not work for you. You have to try and test. So this does, since we have talked so many good things about new media, that does not mean that traditional media is not at all important. It plays a vital role in our lives. It has been since ages. And see, traditional media somehow knows how to cultivate their readers, their their viewers and their listeners. They know how to target their target audience. They know it really well. So they are champion in that. So we have to go by that. And the best part about traditional media is that's the most trustworthy source of news today. I mean, personally, I am a PR professional. There are so many news floating around on, as Dr. Jaya said, Yeshi ma'am also said. But I would say that, I can bank completely on the newspapers and magazines, because we've been seeing them since forever. So as we mentioned, many marketers find that, traditional marketing, that there are traditional marketing methods that are doing well for them. So there is no harm in trying both of them. You can combine the best part of these marketing plans are like that only. You have to combine both of them. You have to come up with new media and make a mix of traditional media and new media, and come up with your own plan. Try new strategies. Many companies have found that one or two traditional media methods work really well for them, but there's no harm in trying out new things, because of course traditional new media is doing wonders these days. While often positioned against each other, traditional media and new media can offer immense value when combined with one another. So there's no harm in continuing with your current media marketing plan. But if that is not working for you, or if it is working for you, it is entirely possible to invest in both new and traditional media plan. However, with all your marketing methods, you should keep doing frequent evaluations so that you can scale up and down your spending appropriately. That's about it.
Thank you, Sheetal ma'am, for explaining both the sides to us so well, and comparing and sharing your experiences. We are looking forward to some questions. However, we haven't received any. Um, if anybody wants to ask.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, my question is to Dr. Jaya Srivastava. Was I watching her presentation? One thing which has come to my mind, I mean, there are so many good things that she told about digital media. The other speakers were also speaking very high of the digital media, and we all understand we are working in that mode all the time these days. Earlier also we were doing that all. But then she referred to the incident of this suicide by Sushant Singh Rajput. And the video message that was released perhaps on Instagram by Kanga Ranath, and the kind of likes which she managed to get. Now the point here is, don't you feel that it's a new kind of media trial which is happening? Earlier also media trial was happening in the conventional media, wherein some incident happens and then the newspaper and television channels start writing about that, and they pinpoint somebody that he or she is the main accused, and then the whole thing is shifted towards that person. Everybody starts looking at that person in a bad light, that it's really a bad guy, and finally the prosecution happens, the case goes to the court, and it is found that that person was not guilty. Now, in this case also, whatever happened, I mean, this with the Sushant Singh Rajput, whether it was a suicide, whether it was a murder, it is something which the police has to investigate and the court has to decide. Whether somebody is behind that or not, that is further pending to investigation. Whether Karan Johar or any other lobby is involved, that is also further to be investigated. If something has happened and somebody releases a statement on the social media and simply on the pretext that too many likes are there, so I mean, how can you accuse somebody, and particularly somebody who is not coming forward to safeguard himself? And even if somebody is coming to safeguard himself, the social media cannot be a court of law. So don't you feel that this kind of use of the social media uh, and saying something which is unsubstantiated, which is uninvestigated, and then put somebody in a bad light? So what kind of social media is this?
That's absolutely correct, sir. Media trials पहले भी होते थे, and today, if on social media, I mean, that's a very valid observation of yours. It is just happening 10 times more, in fact, than what we used to see in traditional media. And I agree to your point of view that a lot of unsubstantiated claims are coming up by people, by various lobbies. We don't know. This case is something that is very, very layered, and a lot of facts around this case have to come out, before we reach to any conclusion. And I think only the authorities are the ones who can bring forth the truth. But I would also like to say कि इस पूरे चीज में, in all of this ordeal, and you're right that social media sometimes can be too much. For example, अगर प्रियंका चोपड़ा का केस भी देखें, in one of the concerts, she said something regarding Indian Army and what they're doing for India, and a Pakistani nationalist, she came out and she said that how can you say this? How can you be on the side of war? So sometimes what happens is there was a huge backlash against social media, against Priyanka Chopra in that case also. But what I feel is today, जो अगर हम करण जौहर का ऑडियो भी देखें, sorry, सुशांत सिंह राजपूत का ऑडियो भी देखें, but there are things that are not correct, but there are things that are correct too. We came back to the point of the fact that I think जो कंगना ने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से रेस किया, that there exists a Bollywood mafia does exist. The proper view that people who are not from the Bollywood, traditional families, they're not getting their due. That is one thing जो 10 साल पहले नहीं हो पाता था, क्योंकि जो आम लोग थे वो अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू नहीं रख पाते थे, और उस aspect से I think that social media has brought a certain power to the people of India. They can voice out their opinion, but I do feel that people need to be a lot more responsible, because anything that goes on social media stays over there forever. So sometimes content that we say just to just in the heat of the moment, वो वहां पर हमेशा के लिए रहता है. Now हमने heat of the moment में तो कुछ बोल दिया, but we don't know how this is going to affect the other party. So obviously that these are things, there are pros and there are cons of every medium. जब टेलीविजन भी आया था उसमें भी हमने देखा था कि भाई commercials जो थे, they used to brands used to come up with unsubstantiated claims. फिर उसके बाद there was an advertising standards council जो देखता था कि भाई if these are unsubstantiated claims, you have to remove that. You cannot put out an ad that has unsubstantiated claims. So हर एक medium में there are pluses and there are minuses, and we need to balance them very carefully, very carefully. It's very crucial. Yes.
No, you have generalized the complete thing. My question was very pointed, and again, I want to have just one thing. I don't want to go much into deeper what I believe in. I mean, we have to make a distinction since we are into media academics. We have to be very clear on this. I mean, whether we are talking about opinions, and if we are talking about opinions have to be informed opinions. And if we are talking about anything said based on the facts, then it has to be based on facts, not on emotions. I mean, perceptions will not help in this. I mean, if we don't have the clarity, then obviously we will not be able to give that clarity to our students. Perceptions and emotion will not work. That will do damage to the society. Even if this digital media and social media tools are in our hands, it has to be based on facts, and facts have to be accurate and reliable. So whatever Kangana said, I am not for or against, but it's a completely emotional drama. I mean, that's very fatal to the society, because if somebody belongs to one lobby, another person is belonging to another lobby. So social media cannot be used or should not be used for settling personal scores or to show somebody in a bad light or in a good light. So that kind of use, we all have to be cautious of this kind of use of the social media. And since you refer to, that is how I raised that point. So we should not take sides with somebody, since it's, and then society is not a very glorified thing which happens. We never accept society as a good thing in our happening a good thing in our society. Legally also, it's a crime. So somebody and nobody knows why this suicide has happened. There might be some other story. We do not know. Only the investigation will uncover that. And earlier, these kind of things have happened. We thought something else, and something else came out. So as a media person, or as a somebody who is making use of the social media for expression as an academic purpose or for any other purpose, we have to be very clear on this issue. I believe. I mean, this is what I feel on this issue. Basically.
Absolutely correct, sir. लेकिन अगर हम देखें कि there are fact-checking websites that are run digitally today, right? There are so many fact-checking websites, fake news-checking websites, जो सब digitally होती हैं. And what my point is to traditional media, the media that we say is credible, that is also today on social media. So
you are sorry, Jaya, you are not still getting my point. I mean, when Kangna or somebody has said something, what are the facts involved on the basis of which she is indicting somebody? Are there any facts?
So that's what I said, that these are only going to be revealed once the
No, I mean,
investigation
perceptions
is
will
out.
not work. Perceptions will not work. That's completely wrong, misplaced. Okay, sorry. I mean, this is what I was thinking, so
This
I
is your
thought that
point
I
of
should
view.
make an
No, no.
intervention in.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you that perceptions do not have any role to play in truth. But truth is only going to come out once the authorities make proper investigations, and I'm all
Yeah,
for
so
that. That is exactly what should happen, and that's what I said in my presentation as well. Yes.
yeah, Deepika.
Uh, we'll take a couple of questions and then we'll wrap up. One question is for traditional media, we have BARC and IRS. So, how do we benchmark digital media?
So there are platforms जैसे Instagram for businesses है, उनके अपने you have options. There are platforms like Brands24. There are platforms like Hootsuite, wherein you can check engagement levels of particular platform, particular accounts, particular posts. Similarly, Facebook for businesses का analytics page है जहाँ पर all of this data is available. So all of this is trackable very easily. I mean, digital media में जैसे शीतल ने बोला that it is you can actually measure what your any level of engagement, right? Whether it is a like, comment, that can be measured. How many people are being reached through your posts, that is easily measurable. So these insights, analytics are available on these platforms on social media. Sheetal, would you like to add anything?
I mean, you're right. And this gives you a fair idea where you're going. Are you in the right direction also or not? You can't just, go in some direction and you don't know where are you heading. So this gives you a fair idea. So these are the good things. So we are not saying that, this is good or that is good. Both are equally important. But then here you get to know where you are heading. You are seeing real-time results. Okay, you got 3 lakh hits, and here you have not got a single like. So this is not liked by audience, so you need to work on your content. And on something is liked, maybe you have created a content and just liked by thousands of people, so then you will create similar kind of content again. So this gives you clarity basically, and in traditional media you won't find that. So because you have created a campaign, you floated it, but you don't know, I mean, what are the results of it.
These are very easily measurable. That is the plus point of digital media, that everything is measurable. I have another question from one of the participants, and they are asking, how do you create viral content? I think it's a wonderful question. But I think अगर मेरे पास इसका correct answer होता, so I would be a billionaire today. There is no formula to create viral content. I think it is very important for us to be in tune with what the trends are, what the audience is looking for, and understand कि हमारा brand क्या है. There has to be a synergy between what your brand is and the kind of content that your audience is looking for. तो जो topical content और strategic content की हम जैसे बात करते हैं, vocal for local की जो बात आई थी, जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने ये बात बोली थी, he gave a lot of push to local businesses. So at that point in time, we saw a lot of brands come up with content that centered around this issue, and that got a lot of eyeballs. Similarly, if you look at one of the trends, visual media is videos, online streaming. I mean, PR was traditionally, it was led by written word, right? हम stories, newspapers की बात करते थे, but today PR is not only driven by written word. Today it is driven by visual content as much as by written word. or the newer generations, they find visual content a lot more engaging. So we need to come out with, we have to be very creative. PR may, one of the requirements is that, or marketing may in general, one of the requirements is that you have to be very, very creative, and generally creativity के अंदर भी थोड़ी सी science होती है. That is, you need to understand the insights. You need to gain some insights from your consumers, and only then can you come out with strategic, campaigns that can really make a difference for your brand.
Ma'am, there's one more question. I think last one maybe. How to bring credibility and censorship to new media? The traditional media is highly censored, but in new media, anyone can generate and post content. And we recently saw how death pictures of Sushant went viral all over social media, and everyone became an expert and started passing judgments. And those uncensored judgments contributed into the hype. Please comment.
So first of all, I am against censorship. I do not feel that there should be any censorship of any kind, right? I think people have the right to voice out their opinion. I think everybody, हमने देखा था at the time of emergency when censorship came in, and what really happened during that time. So I am against censorship. However, I completely agree with your point that pictures that were so distasteful of Sushant Singh Rajput lying on his bed, hanging himself, that were circulated on the media, and it kind of, but please, I mean, this also kind of indicates that we as a society are apathetic to these incidents. We are not empathetic to people. As a society, as individuals, it is our responsibility to be empathetic. मतलब हम ट्रेडिशनल मीडिया को तो बोल देते हैं कि भाई ऐसी पिक्चर्स जो नाम होते हैं ऑफ victims वो नहीं आने चाहिए, इस तरीके की pictures or pictures that are distasteful should not be circulated. But we as audience, what are we doing? अगर हमारे पास वो pictures आ भी गई, so why is it that we are sharing it? It should not be done. And as far as social media regulation is concerned, I completely vouch for regulation. I feel that there has to be some level of regulation. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they all have these kind of, and they're coming up, in fact WhatsApp, they have come up with provisions jahan par regulation can happen. There is more accountability. People who are spreading hate messages, they have to be held accountable. People who are spreading content that is not tasteful to nahi, but that goes against the law, they have to be accountable. And a huge responsibility lies on these platforms to do that. And I feel that just WhatsApp ने किया कि forwarded messages में you can first of all make out, आप सिर्फ 5 forwards कर सकते हो. And fake news actually, अगर हम देखें fake news spread कैसे होती है? Fake news spread होती है because we as consumers are not really aware. We are not taking responsibility. हमारे पास कोई भी sensational news आ गई, हमने forward कर दी. भाई हमारे पास आई है, क्या हमने check किया है कि वो उस news की what is the authenticity level, how authentic that news is? So before forwarding, before sharing content, before liking content, I say that we as consumers have to take responsibility, have to ensure that the content that we are endorsing is correct. So I feel that the responsibility lies with us in a democratic platform, something that I am all for. I also say that responsibility has to lie with you, with the prosumers, the consumers who are now producers of content, who are now producers of news. Thank you.
Yeshi, thank you, Jaya. Yeshi, ma'am?
I think Dr. Ravikant Swamy, Director, Delhi Metropolitan Education, is also there. So welcome, Dr. Swamy, and he is also inclined to make an intervention and ask a question.
Yeah, I have been listening to Dr. Jaya Srivastava, Yeshi, Seli ma'am, and Sheetal, and I can say that all three of you have worked very hard on the presentations. Means they were the examples were so good. I was just enjoying them. We have been discussing Sushant's case in the last 15 minutes. I was watching Arnab's show, and I felt very odd when they were saying hundreds of things against so many people, and everybody could understand that they are speaking against Karan Johar, but they were not naming Karan Johar. So, and at the same time, Arnab is saying, he's saying to the participants, why you are being very careful with the words. At the same time, he himself was so careful with the words that he never named Karan Johar. So the point is that, you know, it's very odd that I tell other people that you are being very careful with the words, and I'm myself being very careful with the words. So it's all, you know, it's very sad that people have been discussing this. But yes, I have one suggestion to all the viewers here, that in life I have studied all the suicide cases, whether it was Gopal Kanda, Gitika, Sharma, and all that. Amrish sir would probably agree with me that at the end, the law is weak as far as aid and abetment to suicide is concerned. There is not even a single evidence of conviction for aid and abetment to suicide. Let me tell you this, please. So therefore, talking about all these things, even if there is a litigation, at the end, there is no proof, no conclusive evidence, and the person can never be punished. So therefore, all these things are, I believe, it's a very poor time pass by the media. Yes. One more thing I can tell, that as far as suicides are concerned, young people are also participating in this webinar. Well, life is all about ekla chalo re. You can't blame anybody. You have to move alone. Say I can't blame anybody for my failures or successes. When I'm successful, I don't give credit to anybody. But when I'm a failure, I give discredit to so many people. As we say, success has so many fathers and failure is an orphan. So it should not happen like this. Probably life is all about ekla chalo re. So depression is probably a disease. One more comment I have to make, means I have been arguing with Professor Ambrish so many times, and I say that is it the obituary of print media? And Ambrish sir always says, no, print media is going to survive. So, sir, should I say that the media people are shying away from revealing this fact that print media may die soon?
No media, I mean, I always keep believing in this, that every medium coexists. Till date, no medium has died. The same debate was on when television came, that radio will die down. It never happened.
Yeah.
We saw the revival of radio.
Very right.
When there were two films being shown on television in 70s and 80s, everybody thought, and that happened for some time, that these theaters will close down. Theaters closed down. But then we saw the revival of theaters in the form of multiplexes.
Right.
So every medium will coexist. Sometimes some medium will overpower the other. Some other time some new medium will emerge, and that will come over the earlier medium. All mediums will remain there.
Right. So I'll just second what Professor Ambrish has said. Sir, the way we enjoy reading newspapers, we never enjoy reading news on the mobile. Okay, thank you.
Yeshi ma'am, there's a question why digital media in radio is not successful so far. Would you like to comment?
Yeah, you said, can you just repeat the question?
Yeah, why digital media in radio is not successful so far?
See, I think digital media and radio is basically people use it as a medium to get entertained, whether it is music or jokes. It is not meant for serious stuff, you know. And by law, most private FM channels can't really talk about news. They are not supposed to air news yet. So it is, you know, you have to go to your, if I'm correct, only All India Radio is allowed to broadcast news. So you get little excerpts of what is happening, and there can't really be an interface because there aren't dial-ins and this, that, and the other. So it can't really be a platform to raise issues like Sushant Singh's suicide. and they can inform, like they can talk about the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and this, that, and the other, but they can't really, create a platform to engage with people, because it is something which people like to listen on the go, or they like to be entertained. It is really not a platform as of now for raising social issues, except for, ham operators, where you have these radio stations for localized people. There you can interact, but they are on another level. They try and sort out people's issues in the locality, in the community. You have these radio stations functioning even in tribal belts in Chhattisgarh and so on and so forth. But in the metropolitan cities, where we are very used to FM, you really can't. I don't think it's an apt platform for any social issues, especially the one we were just talking about, Shant Singh Rajput's suicide. And I would also like to add to that, that media actually likes to titillate and sensationalize. That suicide could have also gone on another tangent, where you talk about depression as a disease, rather than, cast aspersions on people who have nothing to do. Till yesterday, Karan Johar was somebody everybody was following, for his Instagram things on his kids, this, that, and the other. Don't make him to be a monster. Sushant did very well in the 6 films that he got. He may not have won an award, but doesn't matter. Amir Khan doesn't go for award functions, but he hasn't written off the others and said that, so be fair. And I think these mafias, whether it's in the film industry, they exist everywhere. I've been a journalist for very long. I've also had all kinds of experiences. And I think people with persecution complexes should introspect and reflect on what has gone wrong in terms of where they are. It's a human tendency. I've seen it most in India, where you blame others for your failures. You're wholly responsible for whatever happens to you. I mean, God forbid, barring health issues and colossal tragedies, everything has a link somewhere. If I haven't studied hard enough, I can't come first. It's as simple as that. If you think that I'll go to a temple and God will grant me a wish without putting in any hard work, it won't. And at the same time, I can't really challenge situations. They happen everywhere. Nepotism exists everywhere. But having said that, those progenies of nepotism sometimes are very good. Like Alia Bhatt, I think, is a fantastic actor despite being a director's daughter. So you can't write her off and say, oh, because she is so-and-so's daughter, don't go and see her film. You can unfollow, fine, that's up to you. But be fair in your judgment. And I think the onus is on media, mostly electronic media, where you become, the judge yourself. I think the objectivity is lost. The anchors feel that whatever they say should be accepted. If they don't, then they fragment you, which is not done. You have to put 2 points of view. And why raise a discussion on something which is as sensitive as suicide? You're somewhere also. Like when we talk about Gopal Kanda, as he mentioned, that suicide happened because the girl was harassed to an extent that she had no choice. Here, this man was clinically depressed. So there are 2 different types of suicides. Of course, abetment to suicide hasn't really brought anybody to the book. But, so you have to also, let the audience know on what suicide means. It could be an illness. It could be something which is a criminal offense, like it happened in Geetika Sharma's case. Gopal Kanda, and he's still going spot-free. Nothing has happened. And, so I think we need to be sensitized. And yes, going back to the thing that radio cannot be a platform for these digital issues, because there is no two-way dialogue, and you can't. It is not a visual. It's also not a visual medium. So people, I think, primarily use it to get entertained, to laugh, and to just talk about other issues, social issues with the governments, which the government sponsors. That's my take.
And ma'am, what do you think about what the director sir was discussing? Will print media die, or will all mediums exist?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, print, I think, is here to stay. I mean, there will be ups and downs, as Mr. Ambrish said rightly, that, there was a time, I remember when those VCRs came, everybody said they've written off cinema halls, and then they came back, and how, and everybody liked to go and see films and this, that, and the other. It will coexist, but of course it has taken a beating, because digital is the platform for now till Corona subsides and people get confident about holding a paper. Till that happens, it's going to take a backseat, but it will exist. I mean, it's not as if for that, if everything is digitized, even children won't carry school books. They will have everything on the smart screen and be done with it. So like this arrangement of online classes is stopgap. I think even digital is stopgap. It is there to stay, but print will pick up eventually. And in India particularly, more than the West, print is very cheap. and it's available at your doorstep. So if you get a paper for 5 rupees or 10 rupees, you don't mind that. In the West, it's damn expensive. Why papers have failed in America or in London is because, it's really expensive for people to go and buy a paper for £2 every day, which is $200. So they, go online and they watch it. But in India, I think even if you go to rural areas, you'll see everybody picking up a vernacular paper and flipping through it. Even in your society, you'll see the guards flipping through a Hindi paper. So it is here to stay. They may have their heads in the mobile all the time, but they do enjoy that moment of, having something that they can hold on to. So it will bounce back. I think this is temporary, and I hope and wish that it is temporary.
I would like to add one thing to that print is actually already bouncing back. Book, जिसका अभी डिजिटल मीडियम, only the digital versions were available. India के सिर्फ digital versions were available up till now for 2-3 months, March से लेकर के अब तक. I mean, in the next version, it is going to be a print version. Similarly, India का भी print version आएगा. They've already announced it. Various other magazines, they are going to come out with their print version. So I don't think that, जैसे कि अमरीश सक्सेना सर ने कहा that all these mediums, and Yeshi ma'am ने भी बोला, रविकांत सर ने भी बोला that, all these mediums will coexist. That is going to happen because in India there is, a lot of affinity towards these mediums. There are a lot of demographics that are naturally gravitated towards, traditional mediums. So that is definitely going to stay there. Yes.
Right. One last question from RK sir. What is the future of digital broadcasting? Sheetal ma'am, would you like to comment?
Digital broadcasting. So I would like to pass it to IT.
Yeshi ma'am, would you like to add?
Come again with the question. The future
what is
of
the
digital
future
broadcasting?
Of digital broadcasting? Yeah.
I think digital broadcasting in terms of news and content will stay, but a lot of digital broadcasters also make their stories go viral. They share it on news channels. They have inserts everywhere. So that's going to stay because the handphone is going to be your companion for life. The smartphones are really not going to go away. So that I think will continues to stay, but it has to coexist with other mediums as well. So and most of these broadcast houses which only running radio and all have become multimedia. So they do bilingual stuff. They also have their own webcams or their camera phones to shoot films and also it's become easy. And also I think the citizen journalist concept has really caught on with people. So everybody thinks that he or she can contribute in some way or the other. So they make their own videos and share them and they go viral. So I think that also encourages this platform of broadcast to reach out to many people, and I think it's here to stay.
Right. Thank you, Yeshi ma'am. Thank you, Sheetal ma'am. Thank you, Jaya ma'am. Thank you, Director sir, for pitching in. Thank you, Saxena sir. Thank you, Bala ma'am. We would like to wrap up the session here. Thank you all, to all the participants for attending this. Over to you, Anchor.
With this, we've come towards the end of the session. I request all of you to kindly follow and like ICAN3's social media pages on Facebook and Instagram to keep yourselves updated. All the sessions have been recorded and uploaded on ICAN3's Facebook page and ICAN3 playlist on DME TV's YouTube channel. Make sure to check out ICAN3's webpage at dme.ac.in/mediaschool/ICAN3 to get all the relevant resources like video playlists, links to get the books from, reference material, etc. Stay connected with the hashtag conference for change. Lastly, I would like to thank our experts for enlightening us. It was indeed a very informative session. A special thanks to everyone who joined us live. Thank you.
Also would like to thank PRSI for their encouragement and our association with ICAN. Thank you.
And let us make an announcement. Okay.
The first impression that comes to our mind about any college: tall buildings, big classrooms, large lobby areas, thick books, IT labs, assignments, class tests, and projects. Nothing besides that. Every hour, minute, second spent here help us carving and shaping our persona, cultivating innovative mindsets for the challenging world. Learning is a lifelong process. Sharing knowledge, inculcating values of life, spark the innovative horizons of mind. Fun and frolic is the nature of every nook and corner here. A daily dose of thrill we are sure to get here.
Thank you, Ritvik sir. We can close the session.